to another video. Today we are diving back into my CD collection and we are going to be talking about CDs I own by The Clash, famous punk band from the UK. You know, like that sort of Mount Rushmore of early punk bands, the Ramones, I guess the Sex Pistols and The Clash. I mean, obviously you can make the arguments about the Stooges and maybe MC5, I don't know, but you know, I think when people think of like that explosion of punk rock in like the mid to late 70s, they think of the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, and the Clash. And the Clash were a great band. I wasn't really listening to them a whole lot in like the 80s when I started listening to music. I knew a few of the tunes. Obviously, when Combat Rock came out, that Rock the Casbah just exploded. And you couldn't avoid that. But I got into the Clash much later. You know, I think originally I picked up from one of those record clubs I was in, I picked up a best of called The Singles. And I had that for a while. That was kind of all I had for the longest time. And then I started picking up their albums. One thing I'm going to do at the end of this, which I've never done before on these videos where I highlight one band and go through the CDs I own from them. I wish I had done this from the start, but I'm going to end this video by sort of creating my own best of collection of the Clash, like keep it to like 10 songs. If I had to make a Clash best of CD or whatever with just 10 tracks on it, I'm going to pick my 10, and I'll do that at the end of the video. So let's dive into my collection. 1977, we get their debut, just titled The Clash. Now, here in America, this wasn't their first record. This came out in America, I think, in 1979. Originally, their record label in 1977, when they put this record out, the American arm of their record label thought that the album didn't sound good enough to release in the States. They didn't think it was radio friendly or that the U.S. audiences would like it, so they held off on releasing it. And when they put out the CD, they held off on putting much in the booklet. So it's kind of weird. So this isn't like the introduction in America to the Clash. Although I think you could find this as an import, certainly in record stores back then, but it's a phenomenal record. I mean, it's, you know, an amazing debut, just almost perfect, almost a perfect record. Some of the tracks on here I like are Clash City Rockers, Remote Control, Complete Control, White Riot, White Man in Hammersmith Palais, Janie Jones, Career Opportunities, Police and Thieves, Jail, Guitar Doors, Garage. I'm just naming every damn song on here, aren't I? Yeah, I mean, I really like their cover of Police and Thieves. I have Junior Murvin's album, Police and Thieves, his original version of that, which is good, but I kind of like their version a little bit better than the original. But yeah, just a phenomenal debut by The Clash. 1978, we get Give 'Em Enough Rope. This is The Nice Price. In America, this is the first official released album by The Clash. And it's really good. You know, The Clash mixed up their sort of styles and genres over the years, kind of dabbled in a lot of things. Again, when they put out the CD, they didn't dabble too much in putting great liner notes inside. And it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure all these, have been reissued and probably have really good liner notes, but these versions that I have, for the most part, don't. But yeah, just another phenomenal record by The Clash. On here, some of my favorite songs are Safe European Home, English Civil War, Tommy Gun, Julie's in the Drug Squad, and Guns on the Roof. Interesting thing here about Julie's in the Drug Squad is, like I mentioned, they dabbled in a lot of different styles and genres or whatever, and that song has kind of like a 50s rock and roll kind of sound to it. And Guns on the Roof sort of reminds me of a Who song. I think I Can't Explain. The guitar riff, I think, kind of reminds me of I Can't Explain, which is kind of interesting. I know these guys were fans of The Who and toured with them later on. But yeah, really good album. I think this is the first album where their drummer Topper joins in and it records with them. From 1979, London Calling. This is the one, when people think of the Clash, I think for the most part this is the one they think of. Just this phenomenal record. I think this was like a double LP when it originally was released. I picked up this CD when all the Virgin mega stores were closing. I think I got this at the one that was in Union Square in New York City, because they were having all these sales, and I remember picking this up. This one, the booklet's got a little bit more going on, like lyrics. Yep, that's the right way. But, you know, I can't add anything to everything everybody's already said about this record. It's a great piece of work. Great songs on here. Tracks that I dig on this are London Calling, Rudy Can't Fail, Spanish Bombs, Lost in the Supermarket, Clampdown, Guns of Brixton, Boyo, Death or Glory, Four Horsemen, I'm Not Down, Revolution Rock, and of course, Train in Vain. What can you say about Train in Vain that hasn't already been said? Just a perfect song, in my opinion. Just a great song. I think I didn't mention, this came out in 1979, but I think it came out technically in the United States in 1980, like the beginning of 1980, maybe January or something. But yeah, great record, London Calling. From 1980, we get Sandinista, the infamous record that they put out. This was a 3 LP album when it was released originally on vinyl. It's an interesting record. Here's what's really interesting. 3 LP, just this storied album, infamous. Lots of information to share with you about this record and the making of it. And what do we get in the book? Nothing. I do believe, again, like I said, these have all been reissued and have, you know, great artwork and stuff in them. But I believe when this originally came out, the inside it came with like a faux newspaper or something like that, or kind of like a fake magazine or something like that that had a bunch of, I think, drawings, cartoons, and stuff like that. But this is an interesting record, you know. It's a 2 CD set to fit the 3 LPs. There's a lot of good stuff on here. There's a lot of filler. They really are kind of you know, experimenting here and just trying all kinds of different styles, almost like whatever they felt like doing. It's like, let's try it. They do some gospel sneaks in there, kind of country rockabillys in there. There's maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit of kind of like a jazz influence on some stuff, you know. There's some instrumentals and stuff like that. But yeah, really interesting record. I mean, I know a lot of people, when they talk about this record, a lot of people probably whittle this down to like, this, you know, is what I would do with this record, you know, like kind of cut some of the fat off of it or get rid of songs that they're not interested in, and turn this into like just a amazing, solid, like, you know, whatever, one album or 2 LP set or whatever, or in this case, 1 CD, which I thought about doing, and then I forgot, then I said screw it. But yeah, it's a good, like I said, there's lots of good stuff on here, and then lots of stuff, you know, that I find myself skipping when I listen to this. The tracks that I do like on here are The Magnificent Seven, Hitsville, UK, Junko Partner, Ivan Meets G.I. Joe, Somebody Got Murdered, Up in Heaven, Police on My Back, The Equalizer, Call Up, Charlie Don't Surf, and Kingston Advice. Some interesting things about this record, or not interesting, but some weird things, like one of the tracks, they've got like these little kids, I forget whose kids they are, but they're singing like a cover of Career Opportunities, which was on, I think, their first record, which again, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know what the point of having that on here is. I'm sure they could tell me, but it's like quintessential filler. It's like, it doesn't need to be on here. Men's Fourth Hill is kind of interesting because I don't know if the whole song is, but it's like played in reverse. You know, like when people used to talk about the old Beatle records playing in reverse, and you could hear stuff being said. I could swear that's played in reverse, and I could swear you could hear Joe Strummer talking about wanting to kick Mick Jones out of the band, which will happen eventually. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the case. But yeah, interesting record. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Sandinista, because so many people talk about this record and talk about what they would take out of this album to really just kind of make it this cohesive, perfect record. But let me know. 1982, we get Combat Rock. I think I maybe alluded to this one earlier. This is the one that really just kind of hits in the United States. You know, they just have a big seller on here. They have some hit singles. And yeah, I mean, MTV played, I think, a lot into that. This comes out right when MTV is taking off. This one has some stuff inside, unlike the others. I got a big picture of the band there. But kind of the beginning of the end for the band. Maybe the writing was on the wall. It's a good record, you know. It's, you know, I think some people, the fans of the band at the time, were a little disappointed with it. I think, you know, the dreaded, like, they sold out talk kind of came up with this record, which I don't, it maybe like the production of it sounds like a little more polished or something perhaps, but there's stuff on here like you know, them playing around with different genres and stuff that's right in line with everything that came before it, you know. But it's a good record. I like it, you know. On here you've got Know Your Rights, Car Jamming, Should I Stay or Should I Go, Rock the Casbah, Straight to Hell, Adam Tan, and Inoculated City. I don't know if it was the label or management or whoever brought in Glyn Johns to kind of help out with the mix of this record, which I thought was interesting. And then, you know, what really kind of leads to the end of this band is, I guess, Joe Strummer and Paul Simonon at the time decided to bring back their original manager, Bernie, who I don't think Mick Jones was too cool with. And that kind of led to the band kicking Mick Jones out, put out the next record, I think in '85, called Cut the Crap, which infamously, I mean, universally, I think everybody kind of dislikes that album. I don't have it. It's always kind of been one of those records that doesn't, it seems like everybody says it's not worth picking up. So I've never listened to it. Maybe I should just to give it a shot, but I don't really know anybody who likes that album. You know, I don't know what else to say about that. But moving on, from 1980 or 1993, depending on what version you have, this is Super Black Market Clash. This is the re-release of this. Originally, it was just called Black Market Crash and was a 10-inch with, I think, maybe 9 songs on it. Originally, they reissued it, put a bunch of other stuff on here. It's like, you know, a collection of B-sides and stuff that wasn't on other albums, unreleased stuff or whatever. This has got some info in here that kind of goes through each track, explaining the history behind it, some pictures and stuff. But it's a nice collection of some B-sides and stuff. Got Don Letts there on the cover. A lot of like instrumentals and dub versions and stuff on here as well. Tracks that I like on here are 1977, Jail Guitar Doors, City of the Dead, Pressure Drop, 1-2 Crush on You, Gates of the West, and Capitol Radio 2. Yeah, like I said, the back half of the record's a lot of like dub versions and stuff like that of other songs. Jail Guitar Doors is on here. It's also on my CD, I think, of the first record, because I don't think I even mentioned, like, I think on the first, maybe just the first record, I think just maybe the first record, there was like there was a different version between the UK and US. There's different track listing, different songs and stuff on there. But yeah, really cool, nice collection. 1999, we get a live record, From Here to Eternity Live. Picked this up at Looney Tunes up in New York. I think, I don't know, I know there's at least one other live record by the Clash that was released. I think it's the U.S.A. Stadium concert where they opened for the Who. I haven't heard that. I know that's available, but I'm not sure if there are any other live Clash albums that were released. But this one is good. I like it. I know probably a lot of people prefer just to get like a full concert. This is more a compilation live record where the tracks on here are all from different concerts. I mean, some of them are from the same concert, but you know, it's not just this one show. It's just a compilation of different live shows over the years. I think from like 77 to maybe 80 or 81 or something like that. I kind of like this way of doing live records. I know that's not really sits well with a lot of people, but yeah, pretty cool little live record though. And finally, 2013, we get this best of collection by the Clash called Hits Back. Like I said, the first thing and the only thing I had for a long time was a best of collection called the Singles. I picked this up on vinyl and really liked it, and decided it'd be nice to have on CD in the event that I just wanted to hear some like choice cuts from the Clash. I could just put this in. It's a 2 CD set. So I grabbed this on CD, and it is a really good sort of like primer for or introduction to the Clash. You know, this covers a lot of stuff. The track listing is kind of interesting because, as you see, there's like kind of a set list. They kind of copied a concert set list from a show, I think in Brixton in 1982. That's what they used to kind of compile this track listing here. You know, and it's got, like I said, everything you kind of want on here to sort of introduce somebody to the Clash, or just to kind of listen to if you just wanted to kind of hear some of the hits. They're all on here, as you can see. Just a really good greatest hits collection from the Clash. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Steve, if you had to make a 10-track CD of the best of the Clash, what would it entail? Well, I'm gonna have to grab a little piece of paper that I wrote my choices down on and tell them to you. Here we go. Are you all ready? Are you excited? You're thrilled? You're at the edge of your seat? Can't wait? Here we go. Jail Guitar Doors, Safe European Home, Spanish Bombs, Train in Vain, I'm Not Down, Should I Stay or Should I Go, Police on My Back, Hitsville, UK, Gates of the West, and Police and Thieves. That's my list. I mean, you know, there's some stuff on there you're probably like, whoa, like London Calling, like how's that not on there? Rock the Casbah. I tried to kind of, I didn't purposely avoid songs like that, but I just kind of was, you know, there's all these other sort of tracks, some of which aren't singles, that I just really love. And, you know, I mean, squeezing them onto a 10, you know, track listing is not easy, certainly for a band like this. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of was going with those songs that I haven't heard a million times, you know, and ones that I just really love by the band. So that's it. So that's also it for this. Let me know your favorite albums and stuff by the Clash. This is everything I've got, you know. I mean, officially released. I mean, there's some box sets that they put out and some other things that I'm missing, obviously. But, you know, they don't have like a ton of records. But, yeah, this is everything I own by the Clash. Let me know your thoughts on the Clash below. Let me know how bad you think my top 10 or my best of 10 list is there. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.